What's going on, everybody? It's Eric Polly, and this is part two of creating and coding My Friendly Computer, the HTML based game. And so far, what we have done in part one, I have created the HTML and CSS, and we have started grabbing the document and pulling them by ID, and then we started adding functionality to the start button. So where do we go from here? Let's hop right into it. Right, as I was saying, where we left off, we can hit a start button, and that's what we have so far. There's CSS making the buttons look nice, everything's fitting in here all even, and it's working well mobile as well. So what do we want to do from here? We want to add functionality and actually turn it into a game. So when you hit that initial start button, what do we want to happen? We want text to appear here in the text box, and then a face, the computer, to actually show up here in this what we're calling the game TV. So we know we can apply text through the inner HTML or inner text just by calling through the game display text here, right? And we can do the same thing with an image here on the game TV display. So we want to create the face so we can actually apply it in there. Okay, so when we were over there looking at the code, let's look at the CSS and the game TV. I've set the max width and max height to 400 pixels. So that's a pretty safe range to stay within, because we know if anything is going to happen to this 400 by 400 pixel image, it will shrink, not expand. Therefore, it will always maintain a decent picture quality. So that's the size of canvas I'm going to use here in Animate CC. And this is where the background and animation is actually going to come into play, because I would like to take a face. I would like to render out a version of each one as a PNG or a JPEG. And then I would also like an animated version of each face, and I'll turn them into a GIF. To get started, let's just create a very simple face. Now I can create a background, or I can change that color inside of CSS while I'm in there, but I think it'd be a little bit easier for me to control and understand and remember everything if the background is actually implied in here. So for a regular computer type screen, we're going to want, I can't remember the hotkeys, give me a second. Do I hold both? Yeah, hold Control and Alt, scroll on the wheel, and it'll give me the zoom in and zoom out. Alright, so now that I can't see my canvas, let's just blank that out for now. But I know that the background's going to be black. Now for some eyes, I should probably label these things so I can actually keep track of them. Eyes for a computer face are going to be square. And I guess we could leave the border on there as long as it's consistent. So basically, as long as I don't resize anything, that should be fine. Making it smile might be a little bit difficult, so I'm actually going to do without the border. Let's just get rid of it over here and start that fresh. That's easier than just manually going in there and trying to delete it. And again, I'm just going to select the whole thing, copy and paste it, and use the locking and the magnet tool to drop it into place. Let's grab another rectangle, and for this guy, he could just be quite literally like this. But I want it to be lined up properly, if I can do that. There's that. There. No, I don't want to grab both of them. Do I hold Alt? Yeah. I'll hold Alt, and it looks like it's locked into place correctly. Oh, I don't know why it's not giving me the proper tool for the job. But that's okay. As long as it's close enough, honestly, it doesn't really matter. That looks pretty good. So if I give it that black background again, it'll look like that. And that's very computer-like. So I'm going to give it that lime green, so then I can give it a lime green text as well, and it'll feel consistent. So let's save this inside of somewhere convenient. So inside of week 8, let's just go over here to, let's just say MFC for My Friendly Computer Assets. And inside of here, we'll save all of our animate CC files. So I want the My Friendly Computer face, and we're just going to call that face01. Okay. So we can animate it and save it later. Well, you know what? Actually, we should animate it now, so that way we can just save it. And then it'll automatically just be animated every time we change anything. So 5 frames, let's do 6. So on the 6th frame, we'll get some blinking action. Nothing fancy, just a little blink. And we'll change the frames per second. It'll let me do it over here. I have to go in and actually change things. We want 4 frames per second. So every second and a half it'll blink. Is that going to be working for what we want? Let's see what the loop does. Let's see if it looks right. A little bit too often, huh? So let's just add 2 more frames. And now the loop's not working. There we go. Need to drag it out just a little bit. So, alright, now the character blinks. At least sort of. Might even just add another 2 frames. Just, I don't want it to be distracting, right? So let's save that. Now let's save as, and this will be face number 2. So face number 1 is kind of grumpy. Face number 2, let's make sure we're in the, oh, it's all in the eyes apparently. So for face 1, that will work just fine. But for face 2, we want this to be its own layer. Oh, if I hold Shift, Control Shift D, it'll actually plop it in the right spot. Now down here, let's get rid of that. And over here, let's make sure it's not there. Oh, it keeps on adding a new frame. It's because I'm in, is this it? Auto insert? We don't want that. Okay, there we go. Boop. And then this guy, so now there's no mouth in there, that's perfect. And we want to drag this out 1. And remove this. Remove. Clear keyframe? No, remove. And save for face number 2. Now that the mouth is over here, let's lock it all up and just call that mouth. And it'll be easier for us to keep track of. Keep on saying us and we, but You know what I mean. Okay, I grab the mouthpiece. It's now part of that already. No. I guess let's do it on a new layer for now, and we can converge it later. Oh, now it lines up all perfect. Whatever. I'm still going to copy it so it's easier to deal with. There. He's happy. Look at him go. Alright. So that's number 2. Let's save number 3. And this is going to be the grumpy one, right? And we can just transform and flip it vertically. Maybe bring it down a little bit so it doesn't like flop around. At least not too much, right? I guess I could have just literally moved those. Ah, jeez. You know what? Let's do that. It's for consistency's sake. Okay, just grab these and move them down. That looks. That's gonna be way more consistent. So all of them blink. Even grumpy face. So grumpy face was number 3. Happy face number 2. Now let's save, and number 4 can be grumpy face. That's like red. Does that compute? I'm gonna unlock it. Bop bop, bop bop, bop bop. Oh, that's off. That's gonna bug me. Unacceptable. I'll go back into the other one and change the same thing. Gotta make sure I get it all. That's number 4. Number 4, grumpy face. I was thinking about putting like another one inside, like their pupils, but then this would be the only face that has that, and that's kind of weird. I'm gonna open up number 3 again and fix this. One off to the side. Alright, that's fixed. And because that one was off, that makes me wonder if number 2 is off as well. And I'm going to just make sure. It is. One to the side. All fixed. Alright, so we got 4 faces. One is angry face, and he's very upset. Number 4, let's open them all up and then save them. Should open them in order. That would be ideal for my brain. And we could always make more faces. That's why I'm saving them, and then it's also making it so if we decide that something needs to change later, it's not a giant task to do so. So that should be good enough to where we're going to just export the animated GIF. And where's it going to pop up? Did it just like, oh, okay, it's thinking. Animate CC. Alright, so I'm saving number 1. And let's see, what do we have going on? Why is it so giant? Yeah, you give me the option to resize, and then you're like, nah, you can't though. I'm gonna try it over here. Sorry, I know you can't see that, but it's not letting me scroll down. Did I save it? Where is it? There's save, and then there's done. I want save. There it is. Why would you give me these ridiculous options? I swear. Oh well. Yeah, we'll save them over here first, and then we'll transfer them over into a images folder. You're so annoying. Just let me save it. Save. And MFC face number 2. That's what we want. And again over here, there's got to be a way to do this. Original? Maybe that'll make it to where I can resize now. I can resize it that way. Optimize to a... I don't need to see it. Just let me scroll down so I can just... I know it's right there. Booger. Alright, whatever. The workaround is working enough. This is hardly going to come up, so it's not worth addressing. It's just annoying to me. Alright, so I got all of those exported, and I think that's sufficient enough for me to close them all up. Now I got them all in one spot. That's not what we want. We're over here. Coding, assets. Is this where I put it? I feel like it's not. Week 8, assets. Aha! That's where I put the money. It's in the duffel bag under the bed. No, it's not. Don't look. Anyways, let's create a folder. Images. Images. I put all the images into the folder, and now I close that window because now my images are over here. So we want to place those images inside of this game TV now. And essentially we want to set it to cover and in the center. So let's just call them MFC, or we can even just call them face, because there's not really additional faces. And let's make this a class, so that way we can just add the class to an element, and then it will display background image. URL is what? It is images /face1. Perfect. And then this face is also going to background size is going to cover yes, so that way you always see the full face. Yeah, cover, and then let's see, what else do we need to add to this face in order to keep it inside? Do we need position? Is so is it background position? Background repeat, definitely no repeat, and then background position should be center. Perfect. Now I'm just going to copy this, and we had 4 images. One thing I should note, I don't actually know how, I've never incorporated animated GIFs to my web page, so this will be a new experience for me. I just know that in theory there's not really a reason it should not work. So alright, now to add a face when we hit this start button and start the game, we're going to add the game TV display, and we're going to add a class list we want to add, and we're going to add a face 01, and that should just add a face when we hit the start button. There he is. Howdy, buddy. And he's blinking. It's like he's alive. Great. He's looking at you. He's thinking about something. What's he thinking? He does blink a little bit often, but it kind of gives that like old Sega Nintendo feeling. That was kind of gross. I hope you didn't hear me popping my knuckles on the microphone. I don't think about these things before I do them. All right. And you start typing, and the knuckles get sore, raw. Anyways, we have a face. Now let's add some text. So game text display, and we're gonna add inner HTML. Inner HTML. I do believe it's like this, right? So let's just do hello for a nice test. It's probably black. Inner HTML. Where are we? We want game TV, game text. We're looking for game text, and the color should be green. Right. So it's just not displaying text currently. Let's see why. Game text. It's right there, right? So where are we at? Game. So why would it not display my inner HTML? Let's take a look at some GitHub of mine in the past that I know did work when I was displaying text. This is a great example. The blueprint, the prototype that I created in order to create what I'm working on now. And when you hit the start button, text actually is displayed. Inner HTML equals. That's where I'm going wrong. Inner HTML equals. It's not parentheses. That's for adding like class kind of stuff. Now, let's give that a test. Hello. Perfect. And we want that to be in the proper place, right? Text, line, center. Now he's in the center, that's good. And then we want align items, center. Hopefully that's what we want. If not, vertical align, and auto perhaps, center, unless I have to turn this into a flex. I'll just say float, that's so wrong. Display, and let's just do a flex and save. What's that look like? Okay, so now that did away with the text, but that's okay because we want to justify content now, and that will do what we want. And align, you know, a margin of 0 probably would have done this just as well. Well, first let me finish align, make sure this works first, and then I'll simplify it later. Align items. So that is indeed what we want. I'm going to put this over here so we can copy it all at once. Let's see if we can replace this with just a margin 0. And and text align center. Nope. What about padding? Oh, you know what? Not 0. Padding. This should be auto. Nope. Well, that's okay. I was just seeing if there's a more efficient or like standardized way to do that, but this looks pretty darn good, so I'm happy with that. Hello. And let's just pull all these. So we want to just leave behind the button number 1. If we can grab all these and make a new function down here, and this function will be function option 1, and we're going to put a parentheses and throw all these inside of that for now. So something happens. Currently it just adds to all the other buttons. So let's see what that did. Now there's just one next button, and he's just sitting there blinking at you. That's what we want. First off, I want to test really quick and make sure that if I add inner text to my button, will that change my the text that's on the button itself? Let's find out. So when I add button number 1, let's go button 1 dot inner HTML equals works. That's works. Yep. So now I really don't need all these buttons, to be honest with you. So if I'm able to change the buttons and what they say, the most we can probably need is 3 buttons. And I'll go over here and change that properly. So we have 3 buttons. Perfect. 3 buttons, and that's all we're gonna need, because each one of these actually has a the ability to change the text and assignment of where it goes. Such as if I go button 1, and we can assign that to add an event listener, and inside of that we want, when you click, you're gonna stir up and create the function option 1, and option 1 is going to hide these here, right? So we do want this actually to just say next. And see, I get tied up on random decisions like, do I need to make this capital or not? I think I'm going to keep them not. So now if I click, it should just drop down to option number 1, but currently that'll just add some buttons. That's not necessarily what we want to do. Though we can leave it there for now to make sure that we are able to call those buttons and it's easy for us. So we can leave the next button labeled next, right? But let's change the inner text and make him happy, I guess. Yeah. So if we just do a change here and we just add it in and make him face number 2, I'm pretty sure was happy. That'll make it to where we'll immediately know if there's a change. So we'll see the change right away when we hit the button. And now we want to, we don't need a console log here. We want to change the text. So game display text would you like to play a game? And he's happy about that, right? And so button 2 can say the inner HTML is equal to no. So we don't need button number 3 just yet. We're either going to say yes or no. You know what? Actually, button number 3 could just be maybe. So button 3 or button number 1 dot class, or no, we want inner HTML. Inner HTML is equal to yes. So that'll give me the yes. And then we want to add event listener to the button. So then this will change. When you click on it, it will give you option 2. Right? That's what we want. Just like we do with the start game. So add one there. Click and start game. Start game, he literally just says hi or hello. Start, and then when you click, the only option that there is, which is this, I should add all the buttons to one thing here so I can keep track of that. Button number 2, button number 3. So currently button number 2 goes nowhere. We want to add button 2 dot add event listener. There you go. And we want to click, and when you click, we're going to call upon option number 3, which currently does not exist, and that's okay. So let's make sure that that's working. Currently, anything inside of option 1 will not work, but when you click, he says hello, he's blinking at you, you click him again, would you like to play a game? Now he's smiling. Look, he's so happy. Now you only have one option because I have not added the second button for some reason. It's not happening. Let's see, why is that happening? Button 2, button 1. So button 1 is the order that I did it in. Doesn't like the order, perhaps. Let's see why that's happening. Alright, so button 2 dot class list dot remove is the same as here, but for whatever reason it's not being removed. Maybe it's just because this is here. Let's find out. Option 1. And this should remove any anything that happens over here, but it's not, right? Next, and then you still only have one option here. But there should be button number 2 up here, which is attached to but2. So this is working. When you click here, that does work, right? Option 1 is a go. Okay. So I got my console open. When I get to here, option 1 is a go, but option 2 is not defined. And you don't like that. Okay. So you, because option 2 is not defined, you decided that that's where you're going to end your code, I'm guessing. So let's just go ahead and create function option 2. And inside of there, we'll create nothing. And we'll do the same thing for function number 3. In fact, we'll just put a console log in here. Console.log is option 2. And copy that whole thing, plop it in there, do the same thing. And let's see if that's functioning at all. Okay, so option 1 is a go. Option 2, yes. Option 3, alright. So that was definitely the issue, is that it didn't like that I was calling upon a function that didn't exist. But I was trying to test it before I got there. But hey, you know what? That's alright. So this is kind of cute. You kind of see how the shrinked up version will look. That's mobile, huh? It's kind of weird that it's only half of the phone, but I can change all that later pretty easily. One moment, just a second. Alright, so I figured out the pause function for OBS. My only worry with it is that I'm going to forget that I hit the pause button, and then I'm gonna think that I'm recording for like 20 minutes and then find out I was not recording at all. Anyways, I got option number 2 and number 3 here now. So when we hit next, it just says hello. Next, would you like to play a game? And then from here, if I say yes, he continues to smile. If I say no, he does not smile, right? So let's see what happens with option number 2 first. Let's change what happens. So first off, we want to change text. Game text display dot inner HTML equals that is wonderful. BR. So it'll go to the next line. I am filled with 60% joy. Okay, that's all he says, and then from there, I guess it's just gonna give you the option to press next, huh? So originally you had yes and no, Let's take away, first of all, button 2 dot class list dot add, and we want to add hide because now button 2 is no longer an option. However, button 1 is indeed an option. We want inner HTML to equal next. What's wrong here? What do you not like? You don't like the... you don't like my casing. JavaScript, you're so specific with your case sensitivity. I just saved, that's why that disappeared. Alright. We got the inner HTML. Next, now that next button needs to do what we want it to do, and that is going to be button 1 dot add event listener, and this is going to change the button into doing something that we would like it to do. And when we click it, we're going to go to option number 4, and here's where it gets a little muddy, because currently function option 4 is going to console log and tell me that option 4 is actually working. Save that, and I'm just making that console log there because I know it's going to complain to me. And this is, I'm going to start writing notes from option 2 and from option 1. This is from option 1 as well, right? From option 1. Yeah. So now if you restarted the game, I suppose I would have you restart to here where it's saying hello, right? And you wouldn't want to start with it off, unless that's what happens when you end the game, and then it turns off. Like, no, don't turn me off, and then you turn him off and he's gone. Sure. So you hit next. He says, would you like to play a game? And you're like, yeah, sure. So that text is definitely not being displayed in the middle. So for body, let's do text align center. Does that fix it? Yeah, it does. That's what we want. He should be, you know, his text alignment and everything should be perfect. He's a computer. Like, come on. He talks to you like a computer. By the way, that text color is not lime green. We want like a lawn green. Lawn green. That's more like it. He's very computer-like. And we could do this background color closer to like dark green. See if that looks right. Yeah, it looks, you know, computerish. No, this makes this look very, very green. I'm even gonna make it darker. I know I just randomly started working on the cosmetics of the game, but that's how I do, I guess. All right, so that really makes his eyes pop, you know, and that's really what this is. It's a ones and zeros makeup tutorial. Alright, so when I hit start, I hit next, I hit yes and no. Yes goes to, that is wonderful, option 1. So now we're in option number 2. We want to create an option number 3 for when I hit no. And I'm back from outer space. No, okay. Sorry, I just do the random pause kind of thing here from time to time. Now that it's an option, I'm probably going to abuse it. Anyways, as I was saying, we need an option number 3 for when we decide to say no. Currently, all it does is console log. And that's not exactly what we want. So, when we tell the computer no, we don't want to play a game, first off, it says something, right? Game text display. And we want some inner HTML to say what? About dot 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 and then a break there. What? And his face changes. So we want, where's the face? Game TV display. And this is going to display, we want to change the class list. And first we need to remove the first class. Remove face 02. Does this need to remove face number 1? So there's just not just like a pile of classes on top of him. I think it does. Game TV display dot class list dot remove, and to remove face 01, because over here we're removing face number 2, and then we're going to add game TV display dot class list, and that's just to make sure that later on down the line there's not just a pile of classes on top of each other. So if I remove one later, it doesn't like revert back to something that I didn't anticipate. That's just, I guess, me problem solving before I have the problem. That's all very theoretical. So that's great. I made the buttons all do something. So now, or I need to make the buttons do something is what I was getting at. What I've done is make the face display. And I made sure that it's removed every time that it displays a new face. Now, from here we can make a so option 4 is from here, and from here we want the option 3 buttons to do something new. So we want to do something similar like we did, to where we remove button number 2, button 2 dot add class list dot remove, right? No, dot add hide. Okay, now that button's hidden. We can also make this the next button. And then we'll add functionality to it. Button 1 dot add event listener. And when you click option 5 happens. And we're just going to copy this for now so that something happens when you click on it. Well, essentially so JavaScript doesn't throw me an error. So, alright, bop it up. Now, whether you click yes or no, something happens. Let's test it. Hello. Would you like to play a game? No. What? Oh. So that next button is currently why did that happen? That doesn't make any sense, right? So I wanted to hit this. Let's save it. Maybe that's what's wrong with it. Save. Next. Would you like to play a game? No. What? But then when I hit what, where's this what? And I add event listener to option 5, it should just be doing this, right? But when I'm clicking the next button, it's going to this. That is wonderful. Refresh. Okay. Option number 2. That is wonderful. Okay. So I click here, next, and when I hit yes, that is wonderful. So where's yes at? Right here. And that'll give me option number 2. Right? So there's no reason that this right here should be giving me option number 2 again, or option number 1. Huh. Let's try reversing this order. So I'll assign an event listener to it first. No. What? Now, I removed the face and added a new face. I removed the button. Now, this next button should go to option number 5. But it's not. It's going to option number 2. Like it is up here. Let's try to change this button text to test. 1, 2, no. Okay, so the test is working. Button 1, but the add event listener click option 5 is not functioning properly. Console.log test. It's wonderful. Why? It's so strange. Alright. Huh. Alright. Let's try the 4, I guess. 1, 2, no. Okay. Well, let's see. Why is that not functioning properly? That's so strange. Does the other one work? When I go next, yes. That is wonderful. I'm filled with joy. And then, from here, the next button should go to option 4. Next. So, did that work at least? Option 4. Okay. Now, why? No. Button 1 is now test. That's great. It did do it. Interesting. But then it also... So, do I need to remove button functionality from things? Or if I just do let's see, like a game text display dot inner HTML equals test op 5 see if that actually fixes it. No. What? Test op 5. Yep, it's because the functionality was still attached from all the way up here when it's saying yes. As I guess because if I don't change options that are here, they are still my default as an option down here. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense to you. Alright. Figured it out though. Let's change that from test to next. Now that that's why do you not want to play with me? Oh, you made him sad. Okay, I got the functionality down to that one there. He's still sad when you say option number 5. That comes from option 3. Man, even having these little reminders of where things come from is still very confusing. Okay, from option 2, which is okay, so would you like to play a game? That's option 0, option 1. And then if I say no, it goes to option 3. And then from there, it just gives me one option to go to option 5. Option 4 will give me the option to play a game, right? So, would you like to play a game? Yes, I am overfilled with joy. And then option 4 is next. Okay, when you hit option 4, we want something to happen, right? So game text display, and he's going to tell you something, right? Inner HTML equals so he's overfilled with joy. And then what would you like to play? he should still be happy at this point, right? So, we want the buttons to do different things here now. Button number 1, enter add event listener, and click. In the future, I'm going to know not to call everything option 1, option 2. It's going to be like option, I don't know, option 1, A, B, C, and then option 2, A, B, C. So then I can associate these options with one another. It is an option tree. Is that what they call it? The decision tree. Okay. When I click this, we want option number 6, I guess. And because button 1 is going to be called something else, enter HTML. What are we going to call it? Ghostbusters? That joke was mildly acceptable. Enter HTML button number 1. Memory. Sure. That's going to be the only option for now. Just to make sure everything's working. Alright. Let's test it all out. Oh, it's not gonna be happy about me having a call to a function that doesn't exist. I know you. Option 6. Parentheses. Remember to put the parentheses that do nothing there. That's just because everything that's happening is technically happening inside of those parentheses, as far as my understanding. Option 6, and this will just let me know that it's actually happening. Oops, I hit the mic. I could put something in there too. Just to display some text. Option 6. So I can actually see visually it's working. Console log option 5. Why do you not want to play with me? And he doesn't give me any options from there, because I don't remember what buttons are displaying there. That's really tricky. I should I'll know next time when I'm drawing out a blueprint to quite literally create a web. Option 1 is a go. This is option 1, right? Perfect. Now, from here, I'm able to say yes. He says, that's wonderful. Now, why is there 2 option 1 as a go? Each time option 1 as a go is still happening. Up here. So, option 1 is always attached to my button 1. Alright. So, what do I want to do? Like, can I, oh, well, let's do it next to the other button. Button 1 dot remove event listener. Yeah, there it is. Click option 1. Oh man, I wish I knew that that was something I needed to do, because that's going to be hard to get back in there and fix. But that's okay. That's part of this whole thing, right? Okay, so once we get to that, there's only one option here, right? So when I hit next, option 1 is a go. Now everything past this should not be option 1 is a go. And let's just do this number so I can get a clear. So earlier I was mentioning when I was like, oh, I got this new pause function. I bet I'm going to abuse it and then I'm going to forget about it. So I don't know how long I've just been not recording for, but I hit the pause button and I thought I hit the pause button again and I didn't. So I've been talking to nobody for the last however long and not recording. But essentially what I've gotten going on here is I've created the functionalities and the functions with an option attached to them. And each time you hit one of these, I am removing the old event listener and adding the new one. So when you hit the button and you hit next, and option 1 is called, now option 1 is no longer on that button, and instead there's option 2. Now that same button no longer has option 2, instead it has option 4. Now I remove that option 4 and it has option 6. And from there on, it doesn't have anything, it just removes the functionality because that's currently where I am at. Right. So, yeah, that was a bummer. But I'll try not to pause anymore because that seems like a bad idea for me recording because I'll forget about it. Anyways, so this was part 2 of creating this my friendly computer game. Speaking of which, I should put a title at the top of this. And so that's part 2, and I'll see you on the next one. Until then, you keep being you, I'll keep being me. Sound good? Let's do it.